Hi, everyone. I'm Leisha, and this is Imperfect Permaculture. Welcome back if you've been here before. Welcome for the first time if you're here for the first time. Um, it's been a while, and I have a lot to share. There's been a lot of changes in my life, some obvious for those of you who know, and some not so obvious. But the main focus of my video today is on a really significant shift that I've been experiencing and what it means for my life design. So, just kind of briefly to get back to sort of where I started with imperfect permaculture. Let me slow down, get my thoughts together. Where I started with imperfect permaculture, I started this channel back in the summer of 2024. And it was with the idea that I would share my experiences as I do my best to design a life for myself and my family that is in alignment with permaculture principles and ethics. Um, Permaculture is a design system. It is often applied to gardens as a way of regenerative um, farming, or not farming, regenerative agriculture. In fact, permaculture, the word, is a combination of permanent and agriculture and permanent and culture. I have been focusing on the application of permaculture ethics and principles to my life outside of the garden. I do have a small garden, but I'm a renter, so I can't have a full permaculture garden. There's only so much planting that I can do. And so I'm limited in that way. However, I still have permaculture in pots, as we call it. But I find that the ethics of permaculture and the principles of permaculture can be applied to all aspects of life. So, my focus here on this channel is largely on using it as a design process for life outside of the garden. So, when I started the channel, I shared this vision that I had for the life I was trying to design towards. And that vision has changed in some ways, some big ways, but has remained the same in others. And that is because one of the things that happened over the past year was that I had to come to terms with the fact that I had been living my life without any consideration of my own nature. Um, I I was raised to believe that my nature was something that needed to be overcome, not something to be embraced. Also, uh, through just various life experiences, I just learned to minimize my needs and um, try to take up as little space as possible. And as a result, my nature became something that I became unfamiliar with, and to the point of not even recognizing that I had such a thing. Um, so in permaculture, we design from patterns to details. So a pattern that I had seen throughout my life was in my career zone, in the career sector of my life. Uh, I always wanted to have a creative career. I wanted to be a singer, musician, and a writer. And that since I was a small child. And over again, out of various reasons, necessity, much of the time, I would get into jobs that had nothing to do with my desire to have a creative career. And because I became a mother early, and again, because I really didn't have much of a sense of self, it just became a story that I told myself that those things were just unachievable and they weren't for me. And so I was going to have to make do with something else. And so the pattern that I observed was that I pursued jobs and even a college degree, although I didn't go past my associates. And now I'm glad that that happened, although it didn't feel good at the time. But these things weren't even what I really wanted. They were all plan B, I guess, or yeah, they were all fallbacks, which meant that I never was going for what I wanted. But again, being a parent, having a partner, there's lots to keep me busy and occupied and not thinking too much about why this particular area of my life had just been so problematic, even when other areas were improving consistently over time. So last year, I really hit a wall. I took a couple different jobs during the year, but the one that really made me have to get real about who I am was one that pushed every boundary that I have, weak as they might have been. And I don't want to go into a lot of detail about the job because of the nature of it. So what I will say is it was a job where I was working with children with some high behavior attributes. And the job ended up involving physical harm from the children that I worked with, and verbal abuse, and also constant interaction and constant schedule changing and just a complete lack of time to think, time to just rest in between very intense sessions. And even though I did end up sticking with it long enough to earn a paraprofessional certificate, I was so completely burned out after just a month of the work that I had to leave the job. And literally could not get through a shift without needing to go out to my car and just try my best to self-regulate before going back in. And that's not a good situation for me, and it's not a good situation for children that I'm working with, for me to be so dysregulated, just in my sympathetic nervous system, in my fight or flight all the time. So that led me to getting very serious about focusing on my career and just, being done with this repetition of, doing the same thing over and over again and being insane. Um, so with my therapist, with my writing groups, um, I started exploring what really mattered to me. What were the moments that that I felt my best, that I felt most like myself? What were the activities that gave me life? I did several career assessments, personality assessments. Some I had already done in the past, and the funny thing is that over and over again they told me something I already knew, which is that I am built, my mind is built for a career in the creative arts, writing, singing, performing. Also, those are the activities that make me feel the most like myself, that make me feel the least masked, that really make me feel like I'm thriving in those moments. And so, of course, that led me back to grappling with, well, you know, the, I know that these are not easy um, professions to make a living in, but I also know that at 53, I only have so much life, and I do not want to spend it being miserable as much as I can help that. There are obviously so many things outside of our control. And my goal has always been to gain inner control, not control of everything outside of me. I know that that's not realistic. I want to control my responses to things. Um, and so, anyway, all of this year has led me to this place of actually really understanding that I have a nature, and I'm going to give you this metaphor with the garden, because it's just something that I find easy to relate it to. I talked in my past videos about how you have to observe the land where you're going to plant your garden, and you need to know what kind of soil you have, and there's all of these considerations that go into it. And what I was doing with my own self design was, if my mind were a garden or my career were a garden, I was coming to it going, well, I want this and this and this and this. And so I guess I need to go about figuring out how to get these things. Like, if it was a garden, I want fruit bearing trees, and I want some edible plants, and I want some shade trees, and all of that. But if I don't identify the nature of my garden, like I don't look at what climate zone I'm in, or again, what kind of soil I have, what the spaces that I have, how many trees could I actually have in that space, the nature of the space that I'm moving it to. Am I in a dry area? Do I have access to water? Do I have enough access to water to get these trees going? If I don't consider all of that, it doesn't matter if I go and buy the trees or get the trees somehow or get the plants somehow. I won't have a thriving garden. If they survive at all, it won't be thriving. It would be limping along. I've experienced having plants that were given to me that were not really suitable for our climate here, that only survived with a ton of support, and even then it was, again, they were not thriving. And it was the same way for me. I was not looking at my nature. I was saying, okay, I want a job that allows me flexibility so that I can move, because my family would like to move to a different state. And so I want remote work. I also wanted to make enough income that my family can afford to go and move somewhere else that's more conducive to the lifestyle that we want to live. And also that's just a friendlier place for my husband and I to, um, you know, get older in. And so uh, I knew what I wanted, but I wasn't thinking about my nature. So I would go, well, then I'll, the thing is just to get the remote job. I wasn't going, well, what kind of remote job? What kind of work? And moreover, while it's always good to have some amount of flexibility in life, I was very quickly overriding, even just mentally, overriding these things I was learning about myself. I would still find myself thinking, well, I should, maybe the grocery store is hiring. And I'm not ruling out that something like that may have to happen. Things have gotten much more difficult, as anyone living in America right now, and in other countries as well, knows. The financial situation is dire. Um, and I'm, again, not going to go too much into that because that's not really the point of this video. The point is that I am redesigning what I want for myself, and I'm redesigning my career, and I am acknowledging my nature and respecting her. And that is the really big change, is that I am now not feeling that my nature is something that needs to be overcome or masked or hidden or changed, or that is just inherently wrong. I'm actually feeling that my nature is something to be respected, and that really the only way for me to ever find that thriving, including in the career space, is for it to come with respect to my own nature and my own boundaries. Anything else, no matter what income is attached to it or ease of entry or any of those things, it will never make up for a lack or for going against my nature. If it's contrary to my nature, it's still going to be unsustainable. And so I showed up here today. This is a new format for me to record the podcasts here on Substack, but I decided this year that I want Substack to be sort of my main hub, and then I'll be sharing my videos out to YouTube and keep my YouTube channel going. And my writing is also published here on Substack as well as on Medium. And my view for this channel, moving forward from today, is to, again, show up regularly, share with you my journey, remind myself that I am sharing with you my journey as a student, not as an expert. This is just me trying things. And when it fails, that's okay. This is imperfect. It's imperfect permaculture. Some things are going to fail. And as long as I obtain a yield, one of the permaculture principles, as long as I obtain a yield, there's no waste. So my yield is that I have to take my nature into consideration. And so with all of that said, I don't want to make this video a lot longer than this, but I do have a new vision for my life design, which I will be sharing in the next video that I'll be recording. And this one gets me back to the roots of who I am, of what's important to me. And I am going to share how I got back there, the questions that I asked, the digging that I did into my own personal history to get there. And I hope that you'll join me. And if you've lasted this long, thank you. Thank you for being here and watching this. I appreciate you. And I look forward to going forward with this and sharing the journey with you. So until next time, bye.